Wrestling friends, and welcome to the Goodbread Wrestling channel, also known as the Figure 4 TV. Now, today, everyone argues about who's the greatest wrestler of all time is. So instead of debating, I built a 64-man tournament to finally settle it. Check out the intro, and when we come back, we get straight into the GOAT tournament. To make the tournament feel fair and more logical, we take the 64 bracket and we break it into 4 major eras. One being the Golden Era, Territory Legends. Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, Randy Savage, Bret Hart, Sting, Rowdy Piper, Ultimate Warrior, Terry Funk, Andre the Giant, Jake the Snake Roberts, Lex Luger, Big Van Vader, Ricky Steamboat, and Mr. Perfect comprise the Golden Era Territorial Legends. Our next bracket consists of the Attitude Monday Night War era, where you got the names of Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Kurt Angle, Mick Foley, Goldberg, Booker T, Chris Jericho, Kane, Big Show, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Rob Van Dam, and Diamond Dallas Page. In our next tier, we have the Ruthless Aggression / PG era with the names of John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Batista, Randy Orton, Edge, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, The Miz, Sheamus, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Samoa Joe, and Finn Balor. And last but not least, in our 4th tier, we have the Modern and Global era, which consists of the names of Kenny Omega, Okada, Will Ospreay, Daniel Bryanson, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, MJF, Jay White, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Edge, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Ricochet, LA Knight, and Orange Cassidy. To also keep the integrity of the tournament, because I didn't want it to be my opinion, I reached out and I got some help from my good friends over at the Red Carpet Ring, Zilla TV, and my good friend over on Facebook, Vernell Graves. So salute to you guys. Now let's get started with round 1 of the 64. All right, guys, so we're going to start with the Golden Era Territorial 16 bracket. Match 1, round 1 starts with Lex Luger versus Ric Flair. And these guys got great history back in the 80s. They definitely saw each other a lot. Lex Luger became a part of Ric Flair's famous faction, the Four Horsemen. Of course, he eventually was kicked out and he teamed up with Sting. But these guys feuded throughout the early 90s. So let's see who you guys voted for. And anonymously, Ric Flair gets the win here. So Ric Flair will be moving on to round 2. And I'm not surprised by that. That's not a shock.
These transforming glasses automatically adjust to what you're looking at. All glasses have this tiny flaw, but we fixed it. You see, the lenses inside prescription glasses all have fixed diopters, which work, but only for one job. We all know reading glasses help you see up close, and glasses for distance help you see far away.
Next on the board, we got Hulk Hogan versus Ricky Steamboat. Now, this is a good matchup right here because Steamboat is the wrestler and Hulk Hogan would be that superstar. So, in logical sense, Ricky Steamboat would beat Hulk Hogan. But, you know, when we talking about influence and overall, ain't nobody finna vote Ricky Steamboat over Hulk Hogan unless they just got that hate for Hulk Hogan and they don't know how to separate the man's outside life with his character in the wrestling ring. I don't got to say that Hogan wins that. But now next matchup, guys, is very interesting. You got Bret the Hitman Hart versus the Ultimate Warrior. Now, they didn't have very much interaction with each other. They might have had a few tag team brushes back in 1992, but they had very little heat between each other in the ring. But now outside the ring, we all know Bret Hart let us know how he felt about the Ultimate Warrior. And here's what Bret Hart had to say about the Ultimate Warrior.
Hogan, at least, he was our champion in the dressing room. He was the wrestler. And we had a lot of respect for him. And he was a phenomenon that we all were so glad he was there anyway. And, we all had a lot of respect for what he accomplished. And he really did kick the door in for wrestling for all of us that we're all sort of going through still now. And Warrior, that's not the same thing. I don't want to rag on poor Jim. Jim was always nice to me. He always treated me with respect. And, everyone's, I guess, entitled to their quirky side, but I always bothered me that Jim never took the time to meet the sick kids and the kids that were dying of cancer. He was a real coward when it came to that. And he would make these little scenes, prima donna scenes in the dressing room. Make these poor kids wait all night and never go out and see him. And, I had no respect for him for that. And then they'd ask him lots of times. And I saw him make these kids wait all, for hours and hours. And he was just so incompassionate and inconsiderate about, here he is, this wrestling hero, the star of the show, but he's back there crying about, screaming about how he doesn't want to go out and meet the Make-A-Wish kids because he's tired. I always held it against him. I probably still do, and I probably always will. It just was a sign of he wasn't our champion in the dressing room. He had no respect for everybody in the dressing room. He was just a bodybuilder that knew how to shake the ropes and clothesline guys.
Rest in peace to Jim Hellwig, but Bret Hart moved on in this one. And obviously, they both ran Vince McMahon company for him at a certain point, but Bret Hart did run it better. When Bret Hart had to take the wheel, he drove the company in a better direction than Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior just never could get past not having any opponents. He could never get past that. I mean, Bret Hart was no better. I mean, he had a hell of a roster to work with too. But Ultimate Warrior it just didn't look good for him. So Bret Hart wins this. Let's get to the next. Now the next matchup, guys, is Randy Savage versus Jake the Snake Roberts. These two got a lot of history. The most notable feud was when he brought Randy Savage out of retirement and he put the snake on him. He had the snake bite Randy Savage. That was one of the most notable feuds of that year. And that's actually, like I said, what brought Randy Savage out of retirement. Because remember, Randy Savage had previously fought the Ultimate Warrior in a retirement match and he lost. So he had to retire. But then he came back and got married to Elizabeth. And right around that time is when him and Jake started their feud. And that's what brought him back to the wrestling scene. So this was a good matchup. But, the fans going to vote. And that's why I said I left it to everybody else except for my opinion. But we all had the same opinion on this one. And Savage won 100% of the votes. So Savage will move on. Now, next up, we got our first, what I would call controversial one, where it could go either or. Sting and Mr. Perfect had a significant rivalry in WCW during the early mid-90s, often clashing over championships like the United States Championship, with Sting usually coming out on top due to his athleticism, but Perfect often using trickery. Their bouts were known for Sting's high-flying offense against Perfect's technical skill and arrogance, culminating in key matches like the 1992 Great American Bash for the world's title, showcasing a classic WCW face Sting versus a heel Mr. Perfect dynamic.
Burning, tingling, numb, aging feet. This new 3-in-1 massager targets all the root cause.
You guys voted for Sting, so Sting will walk into the next round. Now our next matchup is a very interesting matchup, and these guys missed each other's by generations, but it's Andre versus Big Van Vader. And man, when I tell you this would have been a great matchup right here. You guys voted for Andre, and that's due to his popularity. Andre didn't have any championship runs, but he was just a spectacle. He was one of the biggest and first actual attractions in wrestling. So Andre will move on to the next round. But Vader, that takes nothing away from Vader as a big man. Vader was he was it. Now this next matchup is interesting. It's Piper versus Terry Funk. And these guys both had history in the 80s and in the 2000s. Listen to this promo Piper cut on Terry Funk.
Got Terry Funk.
I am now, as you know, the United States heavyweight champion. I am not afraid of nothing. In my whole life, I have never been afraid of nothing. The world's heavyweight champion all of a sudden has backed out. What they've done is they sent Terry Funk down because Terry Funk is nuts. And they say Roddy Piper has lots of bolts, but not as many screws. So all of a sudden the promotion said, well, maybe this match is too much too. Roddy Piper, if you don't want to fight Terry Funk on the 15th, you don't have to, because I can understand that possibly wrestling will be thrown out the window. That I can understand when you get two guys that'll run head-on into a semi. Wrong, and not even worry about it, not give it a second thought. When you get someone like me who ain't afraid to die, you get yourself a troubleshooter like Terry Funk. Possibly we cannot control this. Possibly we are putting two men in there and only one's going to walk out. Possibly for the first time in Toronto, you are right. Possibly people are starting to see what RP means. You see, Funk, we are going to fight, and the winner is going to get Flair. It's like this. The offer ain't over to the fat lady.
This was one of the closest votes of round one, and you guys gave it to Roddy Piper. Now, I don't know if that's because you guys just don't know who Terry Funk is, but I gotta go with what y'all guys go with. So Roddy Piper goes on to the next round. Now our next match, which is the last first round match in the Golden Era bracket of 16, is Harley Race versus Dusty Rhodes. Now these guys got a lot of history, much like Lex Luger and Ric Flair. In fact, Dusty Rhodes, he won his first heavyweight title from Harley Race. So these guys got a lot of history. A lot of you guys voted for Dusty Rhodes to win this, and I'm not sure if that's because y'all just don't know who Harley Race is, or y'all just Cody fans, so y'all voted for his dad. But in any event, closing the first round, we got Dusty Rhodes moving on.
Congratulations, and let me at this time introduce the matchmaker who will be signing the contract here with Dusty Rhodes, George Scott, and certainly quite an occasion for all of us.
This is fantastic, Gordon, and the matches and all the mail come in, and Dusty won the vote, and so now he gets to wrestle the champion. And Dusty, there's some small print down here, and I want you to look at it before you sign this thing, and I think it's probably to your liking, and I'll give it to you here. And let me tell you, Gordon, Dusty Rhodes going to sign this thing. This is the most important. You got one more here. Important time. I got another one here, Jack. This is the most important time in Dusty Rhodes' life right here today, because Dusty Rhodes has been world heavyweight champion, vowed never to do it again. And now it's come around full circle. And the fine print, I kind of know about right there. So that's why I went ahead and signed it. Harley Race is the one that's got to worry about the fine print. Sure, I'll give you this, Gordon. Maybe you can...
All right, I might just point out that it says a couple of things that I think are of interesting note in this signing of this contract. The welfare of each contestant is his own personal responsibility. It will not be assumed by the promoter or any other person directly or indirectly involved with this contest. It has been signed, in fact, by Harley Race and by Dusty Rhodes and by George Scott, the sanctioning official. Let me read now the fine print that we're talking about. The championship will change hands in the event of a disqualification, and the financial agreement for this match indicates winner take all. Now, Dusty, that means it's all or nothing.
Well, God, you know, it's always been, all my life, it's been all or nothing. It's either been shooting for the moon or shooting for the dream, trying to be something that I am. George Scott, I've known for a long time, matchmaker, the great athlete in his own right. He knows what it is to really shoot for something. This is my time. This is the main event. This is the final hour Harley race. This is my time. This qualification, you can't run, you can't hide, you can't do nothing. But I want to say something to the people most of all because it means so much to me. There is a love between me and my wrestling fan like no man has ever had. And I knew the day would come when I could bring it home to you. And I'm going to bring it home to you. Because the dream loves you, baby. And it's going to happen. Dusty Rhodes going to be World Heavyweight Champion.
Okay, Bread Squad, welcome back to the Goodbread Wrestling Channel, also known as the Figure 4 TV. Now, when we last left off, we just concluded the first round of our Golden Era territorial bracket. So now we're going to get into the first round, match one of our Attitude Era and Monday Night Wars bracket. Okay, so the first matchup in that bracket is going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kane. It's Kane. So now Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kane rivalry peaked during the WWE Attitude Era. That's the late 90s, defined by intense WWF championship battles, including Kane's shocking one-day reign after a First Blood match win at King of the Ring 1998, only for Austin to reclaim the title the next night on Raw. They were also major tag team opponents, famously chasing alongside Mankind and The Undertaker in brutal Hell in a Cell and tag team championship matches, establishing both as main event stars.
Do you know what eating banana can do to your liver? Bananas are actually edible when they're still green, but what many people don't know is that the resistant starch in green bananas can have a...
Key moments of their history. King of the Ring, 1998, June 28th. Of course, that's the First Blood match. Kane defeated Austin for the first and only WWE Championship of his career, but lost it back to Austin on Monday Night Raw the very next night. These two also met again at Unforgiven, 1998, and these guys was in tag team warfare. You know what I mean? So these guys got a lot of history, and I know a lot of you guys is going to pick Stone Cold, and that's what you did. So Stone Cold would advance in this first round matchup with Kane. Now the next matchup in our tournament is Booker T versus The Rock, and this is going to be a good one. The rivalry between Booker T and The Rock is defined by the 2001 Invasion storyline, where Booker T entered the WWF, now WWE, as the reigning WCW champion to challenge WWF's top star. Major match history includes SummerSlam 2001. In their most famous encounter, The Rock defeated Booker T to win the WCW championship. This was a historic inter-promotional main event where WWF star won the rival company's top title. Unforgiven 2001, The Rock successfully defended the WCW championship against both Booker T and Shane McMahon in a handicap match. SmackDown Lights Out match. On the first ever live episode of SmackDown in August 2001, the two faced off in a lights out match that ended in a no contest due to outside interference. They also had a Royal Rumble qualifier in 2002 where The Rock defeated Booker T on January 3rd, 2002 episode of SmackDown to become the #1 contender for the Undisputed Championship. So these guys got a lot of history, and this was one of the closest votes in this bracket. But The Rock gets the win, and I mean, he gets the win. This had to be about 60-40 right here, guys. So The Rock will move on to the next round. Now, our next matchup is Rob Van Dam versus Shawn Michaels. Although these two had a great confrontation for the world's heavyweight title, these two really didn't feud much. Now, these two also caught smoke outside of the ring, where Rob Van Dam, he mocked Shawn Michaels And we all know Shawn Michaels wasn't the most pleasant person to be around. So it may be due to the way Shawn Michaels treated other wrestlers back in his heyday. But let's take a look at the clip where Rob Van Dam mocks Shawn Michaels.
Our old friend.
Quickest way to shrink your prostate.
Best way to fix prostate problems? Saw palmetto? Nope. What about Flomax? Nope. Antibiotics? Nope. Here's what actually works. I'm going to show you the hidden reason you keep
RVD. And this is RVD on the Heartbreak Kid, a friend of yours who always seems to engender heat with people. But here it is, RVD on Shawn Michaels.
Name on the list, Shawn Michaels.
He's playing pick a hand, whether he would have had.
You'd be the only one that didn't want him to pick a hand, if that's the case.
Conflicting energy, yes. You know, I don't remember any moments when like I was thinking of being more aggressive than thinking, wow, what a dick, you know. But after he dripped with insincerity, you know what I mean? Like when after I was gone for a while and I came back to the Royal Rumble, he was like, well, that's what I enjoy about these things is like you get to see people that aren't normally here that come back, you know, and to let me know I'm not part of the family or whatever. You know, when I inducted Sheik into the Hall of Fame, the next day he was in the lunchroom and he was like, Rob, you were charming and funny and witty, you know, like what a backhanded compliment. It's like, dude, I know you think I'm retarded. That's why all my promos are cool and whatever. And that's the RVD that they know and still know. But so, I mean, I wouldn't say we were tight, you know. He could have taken some action that could have responded or warranted said hand pickage.
Right. But it just never happened.
Yeah. I think some of the chemistry you had with Shawn Michaels is really good too. Like a lot of people talk about their best matches are against Shawn Michaels. I feel like, you know, a lot of people talk about how easy it is to work with you too. So when you put two people like that together, it's magic.
Yeah, we could have had a pretty good program, probably. You know, I think with the timing, well, we still could have done it with him there. I was going to say the timing, like I feel like I was peaking more when he was already, you know, like coming back down or whatever. But that's really like nitpicking it, and probably not even a big factor now that I actually talk it out of my head. You know what I mean? Because he's still been around long after that. I think one and done match that I had with him.
Yeah,
I think it was only one match.
When you did the Paul Heyman impression last time, people were so bummed you didn't do the Shawn Michaels impression.
Oh yeah.
Can you give it to us now?
Well, it's not. I don't like to call it a Shawn Michaels impression anymore. You know what I mean? Like looking back at it now, you know, like I got to be kind of a dick to be making fun of somebody that has an eye that's off focus. And as seen in Headstrong, produced by Joe Clark and RVD, available on Amazon. In 2016, I had a concussion that gave me double vision, and it lasted for the better part of 2 years. I had to go to vision therapy, and this is where I saw the neurologist, got the MRIs, had to pass a bunch of tests and stuff, and how I know now that I don't have any long-term concussion damage, unlike a lot of my peers. But having gone through that experience, though, I feel like what a dick I was, you know, to make fun of him because that has to suck so bad. You know, losing your ability, first off, to be able to focus. For me, it threw me off my game like completely.
Again, aside from the outside shenanigans, inside the ring, these guys had great chemistry. Their styles is similar. And, man, it was a good matchup, like I said. So in this tournament, as far as this tournament goes, you guys chose Shawn Michaels to advance. So Shawn Michaels will be advancing to round 2. Our next matchup is a giant matchup, guys. We got The Undertaker versus The Big Show. And you know these guys faced off a lot of times in their days, with The Undertaker kind of coming out on top, but The Big Show being a great opponent and a believable opponent for The Undertaker. In fact, The Big Show is probably one of the only giants that The Undertaker worked well with. We know The Undertaker haven't worked well historically with giants. Great Khali, Big Elegante. So for The Big Show, him and The Undertaker having great chemistry was magical. Now this should be a no-brainer as far as overall impact and influence. The Undertaker walks away with this one damn near unanimously. The Big Show couldn't put up much of a fight. So we chose The Undertaker to move on to round 2. Our next matchup is a very interesting matchup, and it would be a great feud. Now, I don't know about the history these guys got. They don't have much history because when they brought DDP over to WWE, they had him being the stalker. They gave him this stalker angle with The Undertaker, and they completely botched him. And we know when they did the WCW invasion angle, they went left field with that one as well. Kurt Angle was then added to that said feud, and he teamed up to go against DDP and Shane O'Mac alongside The Undertaker. So that's about as much physicality they got. That's about as much of a chance as we got to see them feud against each other. But this one will be good. If we talking influence and we talking overall, you know we got to go with Kurt Angle on this one right here. Kurt Angle had the better promo. Kurt Angle also had the better career. He had the better moveset. Take nothing away from DDP character. See, DDP made himself a larger-than-life character. But this is the GOAT tournament, baby. So we got on roll with Kurt Angle. You guys chose Kurt Angle to move to the next round.
In our next match in the field of 65 is Mick Foley versus Goldberg. Now, Foley and Goldberg never had a major single match in their prime, but their path crossed when Foley famously replaced Goldberg in 2004, the Japanese tour match against Tashaki Kawada, fulfilling a Goldberg's money deal for Foley to take lumps in a hardcore style match for a significant payday, highlighting Foley's willingness to take damage even when injured, as noted on Substack. And they later appeared together on WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. The Goldberg money match in 2004. In 2004, Foley was dealing with a knee injury, but agreed to a match in Japan's Hustle promotion against T. Kawada. After his agent suggested it, leveraging Goldberg's name for a big payday, Goldberg money. Foley role. Foley, known for taking punishment, agreed to absorb offense from Kawada, a hardcore wrestling legend, despite his injury, making it a unique, brutal affair rather than a typical technical match. The significance. It showcased Foley's legendary toughness and willingness to sacrifice for a big payout, even when not at 100%, contrasting with Goldberg's own powerful but limited style, as detailed in Substance. Years later, Foley and Goldberg reunited for A&E's WWE Most Wanted Treasures, where they searched for memorabilia showing their later camaraderie. Key differences in the styles. Foley was an exceptional giving opponent who absorbed damage, while Goldberg as someone who only dished out offense, making a direct competitive match in their primes less likely. So you guys voted for Goldberg. So Goldberg will be going to the next round in the tournament. It sucks for Mick Foley because Mick Foley, he played 3 characters in his career, but we know that Mick Foley character in its own was only developed and only scripted to get The Undertaker over, to give The Undertaker a new opponent. So I see why we went with Goldberg. If it has anything to do with overall impact, then Goldberg has the biggest impact. Now, this is a hard one, guys. Our next matchup in round one consists of Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. Now, the rivalry between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio was a legendary personal feud rooted in jealousy and family, peaking in 2005 when Eddie claimed to be the biological father of Rey's adopted son, Dominique, leading to a shocking custody battle and an iconic ladder match at SummerSlam. Though their bond as friends and tag partners like WCW tag champs often contrasted with their intense in-ring battles starting in early as WCW 1997. Key phases of their rivalry. Early WCW days, late 90s. The rivalry began in WCW with matches showcasing incredible chemistry, often involving Eddie trying to unmask Rey. They were also successful tag team partners holding the WCW Tag Team Championships together. In 2005, WWE feud, the Dominique storyline. The claim, after Rey's adoption of Dominique, a jealous Eddie claimed he was Dominique's biological father, having given the baby to Rey's year prior. Personal attack. Eddie's obsession led him to manipulate Rey and Dominique, including ripping Rey's mask and demanding custody. SummerSlam 2005. The feud culminated in a highly personal ladder match for the custody of Dominique, with Eddie trying to win the child he claimed as his own. The outcome. Rey defeated Eddie at SummerSlam with help from Vicky Guerrero, ending that chapter. Steel cage match. They later had a steel cage match where Eddie, desperate to beat Rey, finally pinned him for the first time, though it didn't end the feud. Why it was significant. Friendship and family. Their real-life bond as close friends made an on-screen betrayal and custody storyline incredibly impactful and personal. Lucha Libre legacy. The feud tapped into a rich tradition of Mexican lucha libre and the Guerrero family legendary status. Iconic matches. Their matches, especially the SummerSlam ladder match, are considered amongst the best and most emotional in WWE history. Now, man, you guys voted. And I know Rey is still here and he's on his way to retirement. And Eddie's not here. This one was not even close, guys. You guys took Eddie Guerrero 80-20, and thank you those that voted.
One of the first big matches you had in WWF that were just, big featured and everything kind of went right was the Last Man Standing match with Triple H at Fully Loaded 2000. Can you talk about that match and how important that match was to you kind of getting up the card in WWF and being seen as more than just, a mid-card comedy character or whatever? How important was that match?
Well, I mean, Triple H and I didn't get along back at that point in time. There was a lot of animosity for real because I had the audacity to come to WWE, and that people didn't like it. They didn't want WCW guys coming to WWE because they felt we were inferior. So you could do 10 things right, but if you did one thing wrong, you were under the microscope, and you were in trouble. And those guys had pull, so they would bury you to Vince. And it was just politics, right? And I didn't really know much about politics at the time, but I learned very, very quickly. And I remember Triple H, when I first got there, he said, if you ever need anything, give me a call. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I remember we were in San Jose, and I was trying to find directions to Stockton or something like that, and I couldn't find one. I was like, I'll call Triple H. He seemed like a nice guy. He seemed like a cool guy, and he gave me his number. This will be the start of our friendship. We're going to get along. We're going to be friends. So I call him, and he's like, hello, who's this? It's Chris Jericho. Yeah? Hey, do you know how to get to Stockton? Yeah, you want to know how to get to Stockton? Yeah, buy a map. And I hear this laughter in the background of X-Pac and Road Dogs. Hangs up, and I'm like, well, there goes that friendship down the toilet.
Now, last match in round one of the Attitude Monday Night Wars era is Triple H, CEO, versus Chris Jericho. Now, Triple H and Chris Jericho have a storied rivalry, particularly in the early 2000s. marked by high-stake championship matches, including Jericho winning the undisputed WWF title from Triple H in 2001, and their intense feud over the WWF championship at events like Fully Loaded 2000, Last Man Standing, and the Judgment Day 2002 Hell in a Cell, showcasing mutual respect but also deep-seated tension and animosity stemming from their overlapping careers and perceived slights. Key moments in feud. Early 2000 tension. When WCW talents like Jericho joined WWF, a rivalry brewed with Triple H initially, dismissing Jericho, creating real-life friction that fueled their matches. Fully Loaded 2000, Last Man Standing, a major feud with Jericho after an initial surprise win for the WWF title challenged Triple H to a brutal Last Man Standing match, highlighting their escalated animosity. WrestleMania 18, 2002, Jericho as undisputed champion faced Triple H in a highly anticipated match, though it was overshadowed by The Rock versus Hogan, with Triple H defeating Jericho for the title. Can you guys, that was the main event that year, guys, if you could remember. And it got overshadowed, like they said, by The Rock and Hogan. Judgment Day 2002, Hell in a Cell, a definitive chapter where they clashed in a Hell in a Cell match for the Undisputed Championship, a culmination of their intense rivalry where Jericho targeted Triple H's leg. The Undisputed title win 2001. Jericho famously defeated Triple H along with Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock to become the first undisputed WWF champion in the late 2001. And you notice that Chris Jericho always mentioned The Rock and Stone Cold. He tried to make it like if Triple H ain't even worth his time because Triple H tried to play him. But to beat Triple H, Rock, and Stone Cold is a great accomplishment. So you can't front on Jericho. That's why I was surprised to hear that he's making his way back to WWE now that Triple H is in full charge, because these guys don't like each other outside. But like we seen CM Punk make a return, and we know him and Triple H couldn't stand each other. I'm not that surprised that Jericho is back and rubbing shoulders with Triple H, but we're going to see how that play out. In any event, you guys went with Triple H, the H-Man, and I want to say I'm shocked because I know Triple H got a lot of haters. He's probably the new Hulk Hogan where he's fun to hate. So I'm surprised y'all guys voted for Triple H in this one. So Triple H will move on to round 2. And this pretty much wraps up our first half of the 64 tournament. We did 32 entries. So now we're down to 32 more, but we'll pick those 32 up, and those are going to be from our Ruthless Aggression era and our modern day wrestling era. So we'll pick that up in the next video, guys. If you would like, I'll put the link to that video at the end of this video so you could click through when this video is finished. For the rest of you guys, like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to get to that community tab and put your votes in. You cannot be mad. Salute, wrestling friends, and welcome back to the Goodbread Wrestling channel, also known as the Figure 4 TV. Now, today we back to finish the second half of our 64-man tournament to figure out who is the greatest wrestler of all times. Yes, so for those of you that might have missed that first part of this in a video, I'll be leaving a link at the end of this video so you can watch this video to the end, or if you missed it, you could skip all the way now to the end and click into that video and catch up. Well, in that video, we did the territorial Monday Night Wars Attitude Era brackets. So we did those 32. Now today, we're going to start with our modern day wrestling era. And we got the votes in, and you guys
turned out to the voting polls, and I want to thank you guys for coming on out. But without any further ado, let's get on into the tournament, guys. Now, one of our first matches over on the Modern Era side is going to be Kazusuke Okada versus Orange Cassidy. And these two have a limited but notable history in AEW, primarily as opponents and partners in multi-man matches, including a fatal four-way for the AEW Continental title, where Okada won, with Cassidy also involved in key Continental Classic tournament matches and tag team encounters, establishing a dynamic rivalry amidst Okada's dominant runs and Cassidy's various championship pursuits. Key encounters: AEW All Out 2024, Okada defeated Mark Briscoe, Kazusuke Teshita, and Orange Cassidy in a fatal four-way match to retain his AEW Continental Championship. AEW Dynamite 2024, they were on opposing sides in a six-man tag, with Okada's team beating Cassidy's. AEW World's End 2025, Cassidy participated in Continental Classic Tournament where Okada was a major contender, creating tension and potential for future clashes. Tag team matches. They've teamed up occasionally, like with Claudio Castelloni and Bryan Danielson, highlighting their contrasting styles in big match scenarios. The dynamic, Okada's dominance. Okada, a legendary figure, often portrayed as an unstoppable force in AEW, especially during his Continental Championship reign, making Cassidy's high-flying, unorthodox style a stark contrast. Cassidy's underdog charm. Cassidy's freshly squeezed gimmick and surprisingly effective offense made him a fan favorite, often clashing with Okada's more traditional powerhouse approach. While not a lengthy single rivalry yet, their interactions, especially during the Continental Classic era in AEW, built significant anticipation for potential future single matches between the Rainmaker and Freshly Squeezed. Now let's go to the board. Let's see what you guys selected. Now if we go to the board, 27 people voted, and it's 59 to 41, Kazusuke Okada. So Okada will move to the next round. Sorry, Orange. You know, I'm a favorite of Orange is one of my favorites over in AEW, but 41% chose Orange. Thank you for those who voted. Let's get to the next match. Now, our next first round matchup is between Kenny Omega and LA Knight, formerly known as Eli Drake. Now, these guys don't have a significant history of singles matches, but they had brief encounters and opposing roles within wrestling storylines, mainly during Omega's time in AEW as part of the Elite and Knight time as Joe Gacy in NXT, with a potential future cross-promotion or dream match often discussed by fans due to their high profiles. They were on opposing sides during AEW's October 2023 Fright Night Dynamite, where Knight, as Gracie, confronted Omega's group, hinting a future conflict. Key interactions and context. NXT AEW crossover. LA Knight, under the guise of Joe Gacy and his faction Schism, had segments targeting Kenny Omega and the Elite, Young Bucks, etc. in late 2023, suggesting a rivalry that never fully materialized in a major match. Promotional differences. Omega is a top star in AEW, while Knight, as Gacy, was in NXT, WWE developmental brand, limiting their direct, extended feuds. Fans' dream match. Fans often clamor for a match between the two due to their contrasting styles. Omega's high-flying, anime-inspired action versus Knight's hard-hitting, charismatic brawling and star power. In essence, their history is more about potential and brief story beats rather than a series of classic matches, with fans hoping for a major showdown in AEW or a similar major promotion down the line. And if WWE keep botching the way they use LA Knight, and he don't win that Money in the Bank this year, then we might get to see that match as sooner than we think. But I think that would be a good match to see. I don't see LA Knight beating Omega, but let's see what you guys voted, how you guys voted. And 39 people voted, 77 to 23. Kenny Omega will go on to the second round. Thank you guys that voted. Now our next match is truly a dream match, and it consists of Shinsuke Nakamura versus Swerve Strickland. Whose house? And these guys don't have no prior interaction with each other at all. So this is going to be a toss-up. So Swerve Strickland career primarily built his reputation in CZW, MLW, and Evolve NXT as Isaiah Swerve Scott, and AEW, where he became the AEW World Champion, the first Black World Champion at that. And I like Swerve's style. I like his gimmick. I think he can work on his promos. He can get his promos a little bit better. But I like Swerve. I'm definitely a Swerve fan. Yes, I am. And Shinsuke Nakamura's career dominated in New Japan Pro Wrestling, NJPW, as the King of Strong Style before moving to WWE in 2016, where he has been a consistent main roster performer. They botched Shinsuke, in my opinion. They could have used Shinsuke so much better. It's like the year he came and he won that Royal Rumble, him and Asuka. Man, at least Asuka got a chance to rebound and got her name back. And we're going to be doing the females tournament too, guys. So give me a second. Let us finish up with this tournament, and then we'll be doing the ladies. But while both competed under the WWE umbrella at different times, their paths did not cross for a match. Strickland was in NXT and on the main roster SmackDown as part of Hit Row from 2019 until his release in November 2021, while Shinsuke was on the main roster during that period on the other brand. He was on Monday Night Raw. All right, guys, so let's see who you guys chose in this one. 63 to 37 with 43 votes. You guys chose Swerve Strickland to move to the second round. So Swerve, he'll be moving on. Now, our next matchup in the tournament will be Sami Zayn versus Will Ospreay. And it's an instant classic, in my opinion. But neither of the two have any significant documented single matches in history, though both are highly acclaimed wrestlers from similar independent wrestling roots, often compared for their distinct styles. Zayn's storytelling versus Ospreay's high-flying technical prowess, with commentators often debating their strengths, especially in relation to WWE's landscape in recent years. Their careers have crossed paths in general wrestling discussion rather than through direct, widely known matches. So you guys, we get into the matches where they could possibly happen and they have no history. So we never seen this match. We never seen no interaction. So let's see what you guys pick when it comes to Sami versus Will Ospreay. And with 35 people voting, we got 86% voting for Will Ospreay, while 14% voted for Sami Zayn. So Will Ospreay will be moving to the next round in the tournament.
Maybe there is a guy that is just coming from Ring of Honor, or maybe it's another AEW or an Impact guy. You never know. So,
well, the forbidden door seems to be open now. So
they're forbidden door, but like I said, I've got my own open door and open challenge here. So hey, I don't know if we'll go through their door, if people will come through our one. We'll see, I guess.
Now, our next match is a dope match, and it should have happened. Cody Rhodes versus Jay White. Now, Cody Rhodes and Jay White has never had a major singles match against each other in their careers, though they were in similar circles: AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Bullet Club, and White was involved in the chaos surrounding Cody's departure from AEW, with Jay wanting to face Cody in AEW, but Cody leaving before it could happen, leaving fans to wonder what could have been, though Jay's focus has shifted due to injury recently. Key points: no direct match. they haven't faced off in a publicized match. Shared territory. Both were major stars in AEW at the same time, with White leading Bullet Club and Cody being a top babyface. Unfulfilled potential. White expressed interest in facing Cody in AEW, but Cody left before they could cross paths in the ring. Jay's injury. Jay White has dealt with significant hand and shoulder injuries recently, taking him out of action and limiting potential dream matches. Man, this would have been a great match, man. Let's see what you guys had to say about this match. Who you guys picked for this match? Cody Rhodes versus Jay White. All right, with 41 people voting, 73 people took Cody Rhodes, while 27 people took Jay White. So Cody Rhodes will be moving on to the next round in our tournament of 64. Man, now this next match is going to happen. Trust and believe when I tell you. It consists of Gunther versus Chad Gable. We know that Chad Gable is injured, but he'll be back at the Royal Rumble for sure. And he is jacked. And Gunther, they're positioning him to be the top heel. So if Chad gets to be babyface, then you know their path is going to cross. But in this Chad versus Gunther feud, which got a lot of history, very rich history. In fact, Chad got forgotten about because he helped Jey Uso, and he helped Sami Zayn get over. This is back when they was pushing Sami for that IC title, and it was really supposed to go to Chad, but Sami skipped Chad, and he ended up taking on Gunther. But in any event, man, this is a good one. The Chad Gable versus Gunther feud in WWE features several intense matches, most notably Chad countout victory on the August 21st, 2023 Raw, making him the first to beat Gunther on the main roster. That's interesting. Though Gunther retained the Intercontinental title, subsequent matches saw Gable use strategy targeting Gunther's knee, but Gunther's power ultimately prevailed in the championship bout, with Gunther coming very close to winning by submission before Gunther subsequently won out. Key matches and moments. August 21st, 2023, Raw. Gable defeated Gunther via countout after suplexing him outside the ring. A major upset and first singles loss for Gunther on the main roster, but Gunther kept the title. September 4th, 2023, Raw. In a definitive Intercontinental Championship match, Gable targeted Gunther's knee but couldn't secure the win. Gunther retained with his power moves, shutting down Gable near submission attempts. Gable's strategy. Gable used his Olympic wrestling skills to focus on Gunther's knee, aiming to neutralize his power, and came close to making Gunther tap, but with an ankle lock. Gunther's resilience. Despite Gable's efforts and near wins, Gunther's unmatched power and ability to escape submissions, including a sleep hold, allowed him to retain his title. Outcome of the feud. While Gable earned significant respect and achieved a historic countout win, he never fully dethroned Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, and Gunther ultimately prevailed in their championship encounter. And that's what I was talking about, guys. But let's see who you guys chose in this encounter, Gunther versus Chad Gable. All right, with 34 people voting, y'all chose 76% people chose Gunther over 24 who chose Chad Gable. So Gunther will be going on to the next round. Salute to Gunther.
I want you to meet somebody. All right. Taking him under my wing here. You saw him at the rally. Just salt of the earth person in JF. Wow. Hangman Page, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson. I'm just so nervous, man. This is crazy. Come on, I'm such a huge fan. Good to meet you. Hold on one second. You got it. Yeah, man. All right, listen, you slapdick spot monkeys. If you think for 1 second I'm gonna be your cool little friend, it's just not happening. Hey, how's everything? Everything's amazing, man. These guys are great, right? Oh my god. And another thing, I'm better than you, and you know it. Hey, man. SEU's over here. Let's go. Oh, awesome, man. Can't wait to meet you guys. Turtle sheet coffee. It's like $5.
Now, our next match is a current rivalry, a rivalry that's going on right now on AEW television. and it consists of MJF versus Adam Hangman Page. Now, the rivalry between MJF and Adam Hangman Page is a major AEW feud known for intense promos, mind games, and significant matches, notably their AEW Championship bout at Forbidden Door 2025, where Page retained after a chaotic finish involving low blows, rope assist moves, and the decisive buckshot lariat. Their story focuses on MJF's arrogance and Page volatile underdog persona, with MJF targeting Page injuries, leading to a cat and mouse dynamic that highlights their contrasting styles and elevate them to the top stars in AEW. Key aspects of their feud: the Forbidden Door 2025 match. The biggest match saw Page defeat MJF to retain the AEW World title in a bloody war, with a controversy ending that included MJF low blow and Page comeback with the Deadeye and Buckshot Lariat. Character contrast: MJF embodies the arrogant, entitled, better than you heel, while Page is the complex, emotional Hangman character, creating a compelling dynamic. Storytelling potential: their feud is seen as crucial for AEW's continued success, leveraging their past involvement in major storylines, CM Punk, Kenny Omega, to create deep emotional rivalries. Mind games and injury focus: MJF constantly targets Page's physical vulnerability, like a bad knee arm, while Page counters with unpredictable aggression, leading to interact cat and mouse sequences. AEW next big thing. Both wrestlers are considered generational talents, and their rivalry is viewed as a chance to create a feud of the year that can resonate fans' passion. Man, listen, this is a good one. So let's go to the board and let's see who you guys selected to win over MJF and Adam Hangman Page. So let's see who you guys chose. So with 50 people voting, we got 76% people chose MJF and 24 people chose Adam Hangman Page. And I'm not surprised, and I'm cool with that. I am absolutely cool with that. MJF is definitely the future, and I can't wait till he get on over here to WWE at the Fed. Although I'm an avid AEW watcher, that is no slight to AEW. All right, guys, let's move on to the next match. And then our last match of this 16 for the modern day era bracket, we got the classic Edge versus Christian. Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland. And you guys know the history here, guys, right? Do we need to run down the history? Adam Copeland, Edge, and Christian Cage, formerly Christian, have a legendary decade-long friendship and professional history, evolving from best friends to WWE iconic Edge and Christian tag team, becoming multi-time champions, then shifting to bitter rivals in AEW All Elite Wrestling after Copeland's return, culminating in intense single feud for championships like the TNT title, showcasing a deep bond tested by competition. Childhood friendship. Copeland and Cage, born Jay Resso, met as teenagers in Toronto, forming a lifelong bond before wrestling. Edge and Christian, ENC. They rose to fame in WWE as the charismatic, comedic, and highly successful tag team Edge and Christian, winning numerous tag team championships. Internal feud. They had a few minor singles matches in WWE, but a major one-on-one feud was often delayed due to injuries and circumstances, with their paths deriving after their tag team success. Copeland's arrival in AEW 2020-23. Copeland, as Adam Copeland, debuted in AEW, initially hoping to reunite with Cage, who was reigning as TNT champion. Betrayal and rivalry. Cage, as a heel leader of the Patriarch, eventually turned on Copeland, resignating their rivalry for the TNT championship. a title Copeland had longed to hold in AEW. I Quit match, 2024, their feud climaxed in a brutal I Quit match where Copeland forced Cage to quit, becoming TNT champion and seemingly ending their intense chapter. Key themes: brotherhood versus betrayal. The core of their AEW story explored their deep, real-life friendship being tested and broken by ego, titles, and ambition. Chemistry. Their decades of history provide a deep emotional core for their matches, making their clashes feel personal and significant. And that is a fact. These guys put together good television in AEW. I was really liking their feud, and I was really entertained by their feud. But this is the GOAT tournament, baby. So let's see who you guys pick in this Edge versus Christian Classic. All right, with 42 people voting, 60% of y'all said Adam Copeland, Edge, beats Christian Cage with 40%. So thank y'all for voting, and Adam Copeland will move to the next round.
All right, guys. So last but certainly not least, our final bracket of the 64, which is our Ruthless Aggression era and our PG era superstars. So our first matchup in that bracket consists of Darby Allin, AEW, versus John Cena, WWE.
There is no history of a match or major feud between John Cena and Darby Allin, as they operate in different eras and promotions, WWE versus AEW, with Cena being a WWE legend and Allin a current AEW star. Their paths simply haven't crossed in a wrestling capacity, though both are highly respected figures in their respective brands, known for different styles and impact. Key points: different eras and promotions. John Cena is synonymous with WWE's Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression, and PG Era, while Darby Allin emerged as a top star in All Elite Wrestling, AEW, starting in 2019. No direct encounters. Searches for their history reveal list of Cena's rivals: Orton, Edge, Punk, Rock, and Allen's notable AEW matches: Moxley, Cody, and Pac, but never a pairing of the two. Dream match potential. Despite no history, fans often discuss potential dream matches, and a match between the established WWE icon Cena and a high-risk AEW star Allin would be a major crossover event if it ever happened. Now, a lot of you guys, when y'all saw this matchup come out, you guys said that it was a very unfair matchup for Darby Allin. But if Darby Allin is to ever be the top face of AEW, he's going to need to be able to conquer John Cena. You guys selected John Cena, 37 votes. 86% chose John Cena, 14% chose Darby Allin. And it's unfortunate for Darby fans, but John Cena is probably going to be around the Final Four in this GOAT tournament, because he definitely is one of the GOATs in professional wrestling. So I don't disagree with that. Let me know, guys, if you disagree with that, how you feel down in the comment section. But John Cena will move to the next round.
And my guest tonight will be battling for the Universal Championship. First, let me introduce you to the challenger, Samoa Joe.
Let's get this over with.
Now, please welcome, joined by his advocate, Paul Heyman, the Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar. Now, gentlemen, I've had a number of questions.
Wait, Cole, hold up. Nobody came here today to hear your questions. And I have no idea why I am still answering questions. All I've done since I've won this spot is make statements. Every week I've come out and I've made a statement. So I have a few questions for my opponent and his advocate. Paul, I need to ask you something. How did it feel? How did it feel, Paul, when I put you in my clutch?
Wait a minute, Joe. Joe, you're fighting me on Sunday. You're not fighting Paul Heyman. Let me tell you how this works, okay? All right? I'm the champ. You're not. On Sunday, I walk into the ring as a champ, and I walk out of the ring as a champ.
You get nothing. I get nothing. Nothing, Joe. That's funny because I've been getting a piece of you each and every week, and you've done nothing. I've choked your advocate unconscious. You've done nothing. I've got to you. You've done nothing. You're nothing but a coward. I'm a coward, right? That's all you are. Well, that's all I am, is a coward. Well, that's funny because every time you come looking for me, you can't seem to find me, but I found you. I ain't been looking for you, Joe. You got it all wrong. You've been looking for me.
This next match is real. Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe. Now, Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe had a short but intense rivalry in mid-2017, primarily centered around the WWE Universal Championship, featuring brutal brawls, a shocking initial attack by Joe on Lesnar through a table, and culminating in a hard-hitting main event at Great Balls of Fire, where Lesnar retained via F5. Though Joe earned massive respect for his aggressive assault with the Coquita Clutch. Key moments. Raw, June 2017. Their feud ignited when Samoa Joe attacked Lesnar during a Raw promo, locking him in a Coquita Clutch and slamming him through the announce table, showing he wasn't intimidated. Great Balls of Fire 2017, July 9th, 2000. The whole. Lesnar's victory. Despite Joe's dominance in the submission, Lesnar eventually powered out and hit the F5 for the win, retaining his Universal Championship. But Joe's performance made the few challengers to truly trouble Lesnar, earning praise from fans and even Lesnar himself for his guts. Their matches were known for being hard-hitting and physical, showcasing a rare level of intensity for Lesnar's title defenses. Now, in my eyes, this was the only believable opponent in WWE at the time, aside from Braun Strowman. And we know Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar didn't have the best chemistry. But, man, this would have been a great match to see them go again. I thought this is where, if they were going to put a WWE title on Samoa Joe, this was the feud where they should have did that at. But let's see what you guys think. 47 people voted. 68% chose Brock Lesnar, 32% chose Samoa Joe. So Brock Lesnar, the beast incarnate, will move on to the second round. Next matchup came very close. It came down to the wire, and it's between Jon Moxley, aka Dean Ambrose, and Randy Orton. Now, Jon Moxley and Randy Orton have a limited singles history, primarily within WWE, featuring a significant WWE Championship match where Orton defeated Ambrose in a decisive Hell in a Cell match in 2016. But they also crossed paths in tag team action, and rivalries stem from the Shield, with Orton often being a dominant force against them. Though Moxley had notable wins against Orton in his early career, their styles clash. Orton, methodical power versus Moxley, intense brawling. But they had memorable encounters, including a recent intense New Japan Pro Wrestling match in 2022. Key encounters: 2016 Hell in a Cell. Randy defeated Dean Ambrose, aka Jon Moxley, in a brutal definitive match, solidifying Orton's dominance over the Shield members during that era, according to the YouTube video about that match. Early WWE rivalries. As part of the Shield, Ambrose Moxley had numerous clashes with Orton, often involving his stable, the Wyatt family, or as part of a larger multi-man match, with Orton often getting the better of them. New Japan Pro Wrestling Windy City Riot 2022. A more recent bloody and intense brawl where they showcased their different styles in a high-rated match on cagematch.net. Key themes: styles clash, Orton's legend killer persona and precise strikes versus Moxley, chaotic, hardcore influence brawling. The Shield dynamic: Moxley often fought Orton as a member of the Shield, leading to a various confrontation, though Orton was generally presented as a major obstacle. Post-WWE evolution. Their 2022 New Japan Pro Wrestling match highlighted how their styles evolved outside of WWE, with Moxley in AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling, still clashing with Orton years later. Now, wow, this This was a great match, and like I said in the beginning, this came down to the wire. So let's see who you guys chose to move on to the next round. With 41 votes in, we got you guys choosing Jon Moxley at 54% over Randy Orton at 46%. So it sucks for my RKO fans, but Jon Moxley is moving on to the next round. Our next matchup in our final bracket of 64 is CM Punk versus Sheamus. Now, CM Punk and Sheamus had a notable rivalry in WWE, especially around 2010 through 2012, clashing frequently on SmackDown and Raw as top stars, battling for supremacy with Punk's agility against Sheamus' power and devastating brogue kick, highlighted by major bouts like a champion versus champion lumberjack match on Raw in October 2012. Their history involved intense, hard-hitting matches, with both training wins as they vied for dominance and championships. Key aspects of their rivalry. Early encounters, 2010. Their rivalry kicked off seriously on SmackDown, with Sheamus seeing Punk as one obstacle to his rise. Styles clash. Punk's technical skill and submission versus Sheamus' raw power and the infamous brogue kick. High stakes. Matches often involve championship implications, building intensity. Champion versus champion. They faced off in a significant champion versus champion match, including a notable one on the debut episode of WWE Main Event, October 3rd, 2012, and a high lumberjack match on Raw, October 22, 2012. Post-match intensity. After their battles, both men would often vow to settle things, with Sheamus promising another brogue kick to Punk for not showing respect. In essence, their rivalry was a significant chapter in WWE's mid-card and upper-card scene during that era, showcasing a classic power versus technicality dynamic. Now let's see who you guys chose in this one. 36 people voted. 22% for Sheamus, while 78% chose CM Punk. And I'm not surprised, so Punk moves on to the second round. Now, our next match is a dream match, and they just missed each other with Daniel Bryan versus Ricochet. While Daniel Bryanson and Ricochet are both top-tier technical and high-flying wrestlers, their significant history is primarily a dream match anticipation in AEW, with fans eager to see their styles clash rather than extensive past encounters, though they've likely crossed paths in smaller promotions before their AEW WWE prominence, with a major Danielson versus Ricochet showdown becoming a highly requested matchup by fans for AEW's big event. Styles contrast. Daniel Bryanson, hard-hitting, grappling-focused style against Ricochet, breathtaking aerial acrobatics offers a compelling dream match scenario. Fans demand. Wrestling enthusiasts actively call for this match, seeing it as a guaranteed 5-star classic, as noted by wrestling analysts. AEW potential. Since both are major stars in All Elite Wrestling, fans hope to see this match happen on AEW programming, perhaps at a large pay-per-view. In essence, their history is less about past battles and more about the future dream match everyone wants to see in AEW, showcasing two of the best technical athletic performers in wrestling. And we know that this is not going to happen. Daniel Bryan retired, so unless he come out of retirement, and I doubt he'll come out of retirement for Ricochet, in the position they got Ricochet in right now. But only we can dream, right? Let's see who you guys selected in this. With 40 votes, we got 75% of the people voted for Bryan Danielson, while 25% of people voted for Ricochet. So Daniel Bryanson will definitely be moving on to our second round. Contestants in our next matchup definitely have history, and that matchup is Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. The rivalry between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor started at SummerSlam 2016, where Balor won the first ever WWE Universal Championship, but got injured, forcing him to relinquish it, creating a long-standing grudge that led to numerous rematches, especially for Rollins' World Heavyweight Championship, with Rollins dominating most singles bouts despite Balor's historic first win. Though the feud core is Balor's quest for average over the initial injury, though the feud's core is Balor's quest for revenge over the initial injury cut short in reign. Key moments: SummerSlam 2016, Finn Balor defeated Seth Rollins in a fatal four-way match with Roman Reigns and Sheamus for the inaugural Universal Championship, but suffered a shoulder injury from Rollins' powerbomb, relinquishing the title the next day. Years of rematches. The rivalry reignited many times, particularly around Rollins' World Heavyweight Championship, with matches at events like Money in the Bank 2023. Dominance and frustration. While Balor won the first major encounter, Rollins often won subsequent single matches, with fans noting Balor's frustration with Rollins' theme song and constant rematches. Summary of their feud. It's a tale of historic wins marred by injury and a long, often frustrating pursuit of vindication for Balor against Rollins, who repeatedly held titles Balor felt he was owed, making it a deep personal rivalry. Man, it's definitely personal, because Finn Balor haven't been back on his high horse since he ran across Seth Rollins in that injury. But let's see who you guys chose in this one. We getting in the nitty gritty now. 42 votes. 43% chose Seth Rollins, but 57% of y'all chose Finn Balor. So Finn Balor might not could get a win in WWE Creative Eyes, but he sure can get a win over here at the Figure 4 TV / Goodbread Wrestling, because Finn Balor will be moving on to the next round. This match is definitely a dream match that we got a chance to see and witness. AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens. Now, AJ and Kevin Owens' main history in WWE centered around the United States Championship in 2017, where Styles won the title from Owens at Madison Square Garden house show, leading to a pay-per-view rematch at Backlash 2017. Though the feud is often remembered for its dusty finishes, controversial endings, and Owens' Face of America gimmick, eventually paving the way for Owens' feud with Shane McMahon. They also faced off in other matches, including a WWE Championship handicap match at Royal Rumble 2018. Key moments and feuds. 2017 United States title feud. This was their most significant rivalry, primarily revolving around the United States Championship. Styles beat Owens at an untelevised Madison Square Garden event, sparking a bigger feud. Backlash 2017. They had a major match for the United States title, but it ended controversial, continuing the storyline. Face of America gimmick. Owens introduced this new persona during the feud, but it struggled to connect with fans. Shane McMahon involvement. The feud often involved Shane McMahon as a guest referee or authority figure, leading to more controversial finishes and ultimately shifting focus to a Styles-McMahon storyline. Royal Rumble 2018. Styles defended his WWE Championship against Owens and Sami Zayn in a handicap match. Reception. While intense, some fans found the 2017 U.S. title feud forgettable due to inconsistent matches, finishes, and chemistry issues between the two, according to Reddit users. In summary, AJ Styles and Kevin Owens had a notable run in 2017, but the feud's impact were lessened by booking choices, though it served its purpose in moving both men's career forward, particularly Owens into a feud with Shane McMahon. So a lot of people were saying that they fumbled this match, but I just think it was probably one of those not the right time. Kevin Owens and that gimmick, that damn America gimmick was trash. So if you feud in with anybody in that gimmick and it's going to come off, Let's see who you guys chose in our tournament. 35 votes. 89% of you guys chose AJ Styles. 11% of you guys chose Kevin Owens. So AJ Styles will be moving forward in our tournament. Our last match in round 1, we got Batista versus Roman Reigns. Now, Batista and Roman Reigns had a significant rivalry during Batista's 2014 return, primarily centered around Batista challenging the Shield's Roman Reigns faction, culminating in a major match at Extreme Rules 2014, where Batista Evolution lost to the Shield, and later involving Reigns in the 2015 Royal Rumble, where Batista's return was booed, leading to fans' backlash and Roman's eventual win, with their in-ring history being brief but impactful in defying Reigns' rise. Key encounters and storylines. Evolution versus The Shield 2014. Batista reunited with Triple H and Randy Orton as Evolution targeted The Shield, Reigns, Seth, and Dean. Their feud was a major storyline, with Batista often facing Reigns, leading to a massive 6-man tag match at Extreme Rules 2014, where the Shield triumphed, signaling a shift in power. Royal Rumble 2015. While not a direct match, Batista's surprise return at the Royal Rumble was met with significant fan disapproval, as fans preferred Reigns. This event highlighted the stark contrast in fans' reception and pushed Reigns as the new face favorite over Batista. Key takeaways. Their main rivalry were during Batista's comeback in 2014 through 15, where Batista represented the old guard against the rising star Reigns and the Shield. Their interactions helped solidify Roman Reigns as a top-tier babyface by the end of the feud, despite initial fan hesitancy with his push. While they had singles matches, like a Raw bout in 2014, according to the YouTube videos, the core of their history was the faction warfare between Evolution and the Shield. And man, this was a good feud. Them two, that was a good feud. That was one of the best matches of that year, the feud versus Evolution. Let's take it to the boards, guys. 37 people voted, 27 people for Batista, while 73% of us chose Roman Reigns to move forward. And that completes our first round, guys. So we are all done. The next round of votes will be out. You guys go to the polls and vote, vote, vote. You cannot be mad at the winners and losers if you do not vote. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for your time. And we're just getting started over here. Don't forget part 1. If you missed part 1 of this tournament, the video will appear right now on your screen. You can click into that and you can catch yourself up and see how we got to this point. For the rest of y'all, like,